Welcome everybody to Running Wild with Coach Wilde. I'm Coach Wilde. We got utility tool behind the camera once again. After you guys enjoying the bloops episode, and since a lot of my athletes have requested story time, we are going to do a couple things of story time for you. So you may not get the main videos for a couple weeks, but you'll get story time for a little bit. In the bloops, everybody really seemed to like the burp that I did, which I found that very interesting. That was one that people seemed to enjoy, because as my father would say, "Oh son, that's very vulgar." But, you know, since it's going, I'm going to tell you a story about my freshman year of outdoor track when I PR'd by 10 seconds in the mile at regionals and then proceeded to have what one would call fun. So first I'm going to start off with the race. I got second in this race and I made my move about 500 meters out. So to start off, I'm running real conservative. My coach said I could actually run the mile as hard as I wanted. I didn't have to hold back to make sure that we qualified for all the other events that I was in for state, which in state of Wyoming, you just have to get top 8 in your event or pre-qualify to go to state. So that year, my freshman year, I was just running the 3200 and the 1600. The first day was the 3200 and I got top 8 in that. 1600, I got top 8 in that, but since it was my last race of the weekend, they went ahead and they cut the cord and said I could run it however I wanted to. So went out, hit the 600 meter mark, really started picking it up, 500 meters to go. I made the choice that, hey, I want to really see how well I can do. So I went out and like a silly freshman, I took the lead. But right before I got to the 400 meter mark, I'm passing 2 individuals. And as I'm passing them, it goes slow motion for me as the kid that I'm passing turns his head to the right and spits. And so I'm running and I just remember just going, imagining that the spit was just smack dab in the center of me. And I don't know how I did this mid-race and kept my stride going, because I passed him and then moved into lane 1, but I tried to look for the spit and I never found it. But anyways, finished the race with 100 meters left. I'm still in first and I'm freaking out. And then, as they say, the fat kid from the slow heat hopped on my back and I died. And also, the kid that would go on to win the mile at the state meet the next week just blows past me. Like I was standing still. And so I just kept going and I ended up getting second. So, which was good. But you know, after that, I grabbed my stuff, got out of my spikes, and I remember for some reason that year they had the officiating tent on the inside of the track, and I'm just kind of standing there and I'm going oh man, I do not feel good. I do not feel good. And I lean against the tent and burp all over the side of the tent and on the infield. And I'm like, oh man, I feel a lot better now. And so I'm about to go start my cool down when my coach yells at me, Sean, you gotta go to awards right now. So I go get my awards, or my award, just my second place finishing medal, and I went back up to the stands and I'm talking to my teammate and I'm not feeling that good, just really not feeling that good. And next thing I know, I am diving into the trash can for the second time. And I remember just staying there for a little bit, because after I did it, I wasn't feeling that good. I was still feeling all that hot, heavy, gross, nasty feeling you have when you do that. And at the same time, one of my coaches, Coach Sigalski, our hurdles coach, is asking, hey, is Sean okay? Did he lose something? And my teammate, Scott Foley, he without missing a beat, he's like, yeah, I think he lost his lunch. And Coach Zagelsky's a pretty witty coach. He's pretty witty, so he's quick on his toes. But in that moment, he just completely spaced out. He's just, oh, well, I'll get him a lunch. And Scott has to turn to him and he's like, no, no, no. He lost his lunch. Coach Zagelsky finally has it click in his head. He's like, oh, okay, poor kid. Comes over and is like, hey, Sean, do you need a Gatorade or anything? And I'm like, no, that was the second time. I think I'm good. I think we're done. Then I go and I sit down, and I'm sitting next to a trash can because I still feel it in me. Still feel a little sick. Can feel the noxiousness in my belly, in the old tum-tum down there. And a family that I know fairly well sits down and starts talking to me, and they're like, oh, hey, you did very good as a freshman. That was very impressive. You know, you did pretty good, second place. That's good. Congratulations. And I'm talking to them, and then I feel it come up, and I'm like, oh no. So instead of just going to another trash can, I then decided the best course of action is to grab the trash can and try to drag it away. And this is mid-conversation with this lovely family. So they're still talking to me, and they're just kind of looking at me side-eyed, head cocked, going like, what in the world are you doing? And so I drag it about, I don't know, I'm a distance runner, I'm a little kid, I'm a freshman, so I'm not dragging it that far. And I maybe get it like 5 feet, dive into it again, and just and so, that started the tradition that whenever I throw up at a race, I always, for some reason, do it in threes, which is funny. And it also gave me this wonderful story to tell you, but probably the most interesting part of it was that first time that I upchucked, I happened to take a look at it, and all I could think of was, today's Saturday, and I had cauliflower on Wednesday, and I'm pretty sure it shouldn't still be in there. Well, guys, I want to thank you for joining me for a story time on Running Wild. This is Coach Wilde, and hopefully I see you out there running crazy. Night, guys.